All right, so now we're on the air. The basic setup here, so you don't have to look at my huge dome, is we have, we're in our class right now on the Sawmill campus. We have our screen set up. We've got a lot of beautiful people. I won't do the swirl around in case there's any people from like the Gone Girl novel or anything in here hiding. But my name is Ian O'Byrne. I am an assistant professor at the University of New Haven. This will either be really cool or it'll be career suicide, so this should be fun to see. And I'm going to switch over. Things are buzzing now, so oh, Chris is there. All right, so I'm going to switch over in the Hangout. I'm going to go to this slide here. So one of the nice things about a Hangout is I can do a screen share. So this is pulling up my other screen up on the camera. So one of the things that we want to, let's see if this is still working. Are you viewing the Hangout right now, Chris? Is anybody watching the video right now? Here, I will send the link. Let's see, the YouTube page. Let's make this happen. Here's the live feed right now. There we go. All right, so I'm going to send out on Twitter the live feed for everything in case people want to grab it for later. The live feed. All right, so I just sent the live feed out. Hopefully it's following along here. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is, let me just double check that this is doing what I want it to do. When we get to the end of this and it doesn't work. Yeah, it's like 2 minutes fine, but it looks like it's doing it. Somebody keep an eye on that and let me know as I start to make sense at some point tonight that it's showing this slide, you know, this main screen. So one of the things we want to talk about is we're going to be involved in a project. The project, as I said before, is going to use Twitter. It's going to use all of us interacting openly online. We're going to use Twitter as a way to connect. We're going to think about identity. We're going to think about our identities and what all of that means. And this is going to happen openly online in a social networking space. So it's a way to connect. You'll be connecting and learning. Is it working? Connecting and learning with other people online. So some of us have an understanding of what Twitter is and some of us have no clue. If we look at the Wikipedia definitions of Twitter, basically what they say is, you know, I mean, it could be a sound that a bird makes. It could be a social networking space. That's typically the place that we want to be over the next 10 weeks. It'll be a lot easier and more enjoyable of a learning experience if you're not dealing with the bird calls. But typically Twitter is the social network that a lot of us have heard about. We've talked about it's what people call a micro blogging service. So we know what a blog is. A blog is a website where you can basically write anything. A micro blogging service is they just take a blog and they make it real short and compact. So within Twitter, you send out messages that are known as tweets. A tweet is a message that is limited to 140 characters. There are ways to game the system. There are some people that will have multiple tweets and they'll put like 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3, you know, they'll add up a bunch of tweets together. There are some people that use services that allow you to add more content to the tweet. I don't think that's playing fair. I think there's a subtle art in trying to get what you want to say into that 140 characters. Okay, so Twitter, online social networking service, it's a 140 character message. Those messages are called tweets. In order for us to figure out what the tweet actually means, so let's take a look at the anatomy of a tweet. So if we look at this, what we have here is, here's our 140 characters in the middle. This is a tweet from the New York Times. Starting off this part where it says the New York Times, that is the name of the user. That's who is sending the tweet to us, at least the way that this is lined up. The username for the tweet is @New York Times. So when you have a username, you'll have the @ symbol, the little A with the circle around it, and your name. So that's the username. The actual tweet here, that's the content of the message. So the 140 characters starts here with the F and follow, and it ends over here with the end of the link. Okay, so if we look at it, we're not really considering this top part, the New York Times and @New York Times, to be part of the tweet. And we're not considering this bottom part, expand, reply, retweet. That's not really part of the tweet either. 140 characters is this chunk right here. So it says follow @New York Times. So they're, follow @New York Times Theater for live coverage of tonight's Tony Awards starting soon. And then it has a little nyti.ms. That's a link. So on Twitter, what they'll do is they will have, there's multiple things here. They're saying @New York Times Theater because New York Times Twitter account is telling you to go follow somebody else's Twitter account. So sometimes if you're on Facebook, you can ping someone, or you can add them to a post, or you can include them in, you can tag them in a post or tag them in a photo. That's pretty much the same thing. They're adding the New York Times Theater to this tweet. And then if we take a look at, it says for live coverage of tonight's Tony Awards, that is a hashtag. We'll talk more about hashtags and what a hashtag actually is, but the pound sign or the number sign, Tony Awards, it's a hashtag letting us know that they're talking about the Tony Awards. And then it says starting soon, and there is a link. What they'll do is they'll take a link and they will shorten the link, because most URLs, like this link up here, it's probably really, really long and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So what they do is they take that link and they shorten it, and it's called a redirect, a URL redirect. So it takes a link, makes it shorter, makes it more bite-sized and manageable. It's actually a really good teaching technique as well. We'll talk about this later in class, but I use a tool where if I have to have a website that I always want my students to go to, I'll set up a URL redirect so I can remember where I want to send them to so they can get access to it. So the other thing is, hopefully this works and plays nice with Google Plus and the Hangout. It's sometimes hard to understand what a tweet is all about and what Twitter is all about. So what I do is it makes sense to compare Twitter and a tweet to email. Okay, for the most part, everybody here knows what email is and how email operates. So the challenge here is if you use email, for the most part, you are the sender. Okay, when you send the email to somebody else, you include their email address. You put their email address in. So if I send Mia a message, I put Mia's email address in there. I know that I'm sending the email message. I'm sending it to Mia. No one else. Troy's not all of a sudden looking at the email message. Okay. In order for Troy to look at it, I need to include his email address up top. I need to add him in the CC. Or if I want Troy to see it, but Mia not to know, I can do the BCC if I'm shady. Okay, so we understand how that operates. Like I want Mia to see the message, and anybody else that I want to see the message, I put their email address in there. Okay. The challenge is with Twitter, you basically send your content openly. So I could send Mia a message. I would include her username in the tweet. And when I send it out, if it's not a direct message, I send it out, I send it to Mia, so she is viewing this, she sees what I'm talking about in the tweet, but everybody else in this room can see the message, okay? It's not locked down. Everybody here can see the message. The other parallel that I make to make sense of it is a subject. All of our email messages have a subject line. So when you're getting emails, you can look at the subject line and figure out, do I want to look at this? Do I want to read the message? Is this something I want to spend more time reading? Is this a virus? Is this spam? So we look at the subject line. And the subject line is nice because it connects your message to other messages in your email inbox. To me, the parallel to that is the hashtag. The hashtag for me is almost like the subject line on the tweet, because then I can look at the hashtag across a lot of other tweets and across a lot of other spaces with a lot of other authors. So I create a parallel between the subject line and the hashtag. That makes sense for me. And then, of course, you have text in the email, you have text in the actual tweet. So it's a way to keep those two united. And then with email and with tweets, you can reply. You can reply to an email, you can reply to a tweet. So I could send something to Mia, Mia could reply back. They also have what's known as a favorite in a tweet. So many of you over the next couple of weeks, I will favorite your tweet. There are different people that look at the favoriting different ways, and we'll talk more about this in class. For me, a favorite is basically a way for me to let you know that I've seen your tweet and I've read it. Okay. There are different people that use the favorite for different functions. There are different tools out there. For example, Pocket has a plugin where you can favorite a tweet and it'll save a copy to Pocket if you want to like read it later. So there's some people that use it for different things. I use it basically saying that like I read your tweet. There's also a retweet. So some of you have seen like an RT or a retweet. Basically what that is somebody else is looking at that tweet and they are resending it out. So a favorite is like I read your tweet, or like add a girl, add a boy. A retweet is the ultimate honor in Twitter. Basically, you're taking somebody's content and you really like it, so they're retweeting it. They're resending it out to all of their followers. So it goes almost like viral, okay? So if we take a look a little bit deeper, we talked a little bit about this last week, but I think it's important that we have a longer discussion. I'm asking you to share content openly online, okay? And I'm asking you to do so knowing that we're in the post-Snowden era, okay? I know that the online intellectual space is highly contested. I know that Twitter, especially lately, has had numerous issues and numerous challenges, okay? If you've followed Gamergate at all over the last couple months, you know that there are tremendous challenges, in gender as a lens on Twitter. So there's there are numerous challenges, numerous concerns online openly and online specifically in Twitter. And I'm still asking you to share content openly online. I want us all to play on Twitter. I want us to play openly. I want us to think broadly about text and about multiple ways to create and learn and share. And so part of this is you are creating another form, or you're modifying your identity. So who you are, what makes you exactly, the type of person that you are. Every single one of you in this room right now is studying to be a teacher. So there's that weighing in on you. You want to be a teacher. You're thinking about what society says about educators and what you're supposed to be. So does anybody here, we talked a little bit last week, does anybody use Twitter at all previous to before? So a couple people, what do you use Twitter for? What do you use Twitter for?
I actually used it like it was a private account, like I didn't have any followers. It was just so I could say things and like get it out without saying it publicly. Very cool, very cool. How do you use Twitter?
Mainly just to follow things I'm interested in, musicians,
yeah,
TV shows, whatever.
And there's two different ways to use Twitter, and they're both absolutely appropriate. You could use, some people use Twitter and they have like a public professional Twitter account, and other people have like another Twitter account set up for other motives. I want to set up a separate Twitter account for like the evil Ian O'Byrne. I want to set up like a snarky Twitter account, or set up the Philly sports fan version of my Twitter account, so I can go online and say whatever I want to say, you know, and not be afraid that somebody's going to judge me. So then the challenge is that I have to think about, okay, do I have 2 Twitter accounts? You know, now I'm running and I'm maintaining 2 identities. But then there's also people that join Twitter, and some of you over the past week, you might have created a Twitter account, and as soon as you join, Twitter's like, hey, you want to follow this person, that, like, let's make you a bunch of friends, because if you don't have friends, you don't have to. It's absolutely appropriate to create a Twitter account to go in and not follow anybody. Okay, so there's different ways that people use Twitter, and the only way for you really to understand is to get in and muck about and figure out what it means for you. Yes, sir.
I never used this before, but so everything that's popping up, is that something everyone else can see, or is it just for me? The only thing people can see is my tweets.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it. When you first sign in, is it give you like a stream of information? Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So the challenge here is, as we start along this project, do you already use Twitter? Okay, so we'll have a nice mix of, like, half of us use Twitter for different needs. So you might think about, okay, well, I'm going to start a new Twitter account just for this class or this project, and then when it's done, I'm going to kill it off. Some people here have never used Twitter before, and that's awesome. And so the thing in the back of our heads, we have to think about, okay, why am I using this? To what ends? And then, am I trying to build up a digital identity? Am I trying to build up a digital brand, an online brand? We talked last week. I think that, you know, when we show up for the first day of school, we had the best clothes picked out. Our classroom is nice and clean and neat. We should have, at least I believe we should have, some sort of digital identity, some sort of online persona that talks about who we are. So when your principal or superintendent or the person that's going to hire you Googles you, you have something there that is representative of who you are or who you would like to be. So let's take a look at how to actually do this. Is anybody else out there yet? 3 viewers. It's probably people in this class. I just want to make sure nobody's trying to ping me. So a couple different ways to do it. Number one is, let me change this a little bit. So here I am. I'm signed into Twitter. I've already created my account. I've edited some stuff. I have my little avatar. I have my avatar across a couple different spaces. The reason is, and I told a couple people before, when I taught high school, I was voted least photogenic for a couple years running. And so what I did is I said, finally, forget it. I'm not going to, every time I would take a picture, I would mess up my face, trying to smile awkwardly. And so I went through rehab. Everything's better now. I can take pictures, not look deranged. But I had my high school kids start, a couple of them that I was friends with, they would build me avatars. And so we had a stockpile of like 20 avatars, and we had to boil it down to the ones that looked sort of like me, but were not creepy. Okay, so if this looks creepy to you, I've got ones that are far creepier. But the thing is, I made a decision to have that be my avatar. Okay, I wanted that to be my representation more so than a picture of me or a glamour shots photo of me. I made the decision. Please keep in mind that they're not really now, but there were people in the past that, as I was going through grad school and then looking for jobs in academia, they would say, well, does that really look like the photo that a professor should use? I mean, should a professor represent himself or herself as an avatar or a cartoon? So those are decisions, those are questions I had about what I shared. So here's my name, here is my avatar, I'm at W.I. O'Byrne. There's a little blurb here. I describe myself as a father, husband, digital architect. I'm gonna get rid of digital architect. Professor, researcher. I have a little pin saying I'm from the Northeast US. A website, so I link back to my main website and my blog. And then I have all of my content, my photos and videos. Here's my tweets. Here's how many followers and people that follow, how many people I follow, favorites, lists, all that stuff. Let's look at the important stuff. So if you have a Twitter account, if you have a computer in front of you, go ahead and sign in and feel free to play as we talk. This will be an ongoing workshop to take a look at what you should do. So first of all, this is twitter.com. I'm signed in. I have an account. When you sign into Twitter, there's a couple things that you can do. When you sign in and create a Twitter account, you have the opportunity to make it a public or a private account. For this project, you'll have to have a public account. So if you have your snarky account, or you have your evil Darth Vader account, or your Stewie from Family Guy account, you can leave that one private. For this, you'll have to have a public account. I think that it would be a good idea to create one now and start building it up as an educator, but that's me. Okay, I've made decisions about my online brand. I cannot tell you what you should or should not do with yours. I can tell you the challenges that you have. So when you sign in, a couple different things. You pick your username. Start to think about what sort of username you'd like to have. A couple other important things here. Under security and privacy, there are a couple things that I think you should include. One of which is, where is the two-factor authentication? I will hunt down. So here's the protect my tweets. That's the privacy piece. If that is checked, then we won't be able to see or retweet or interact with your tweets. There is tweet location. So in the Walk My World project, we will ask you to use a map and interact with a map, but some of you don't want to. Okay, some of you will make the decision, I don't want people to know where I am. Okay, and that's absolutely appropriate. If that's important to you, you can get rid of the add my location to tweets checkbox. Some of us don't want us to know where people are tweeting from. A couple other things while we're here. The password, so you can reset your password, the email notifications, web notifications. If you want to block an account or mute an account. So if you have people that are harassing you or spamming you, that's one of the challenges that we have now on Twitter, is that anybody can create an account. So you might have someone that starts attacking you or trolling you. And if this is happening, you might want, the best thing to do right now, and it's a broken system, is basically mute or block that person that is sending you that information. Okay, so it's something to be aware of. In terms of design, you'll notice on mine, I have the little background. I have my little, graphics piece. You can pick a theme for yours. So you can add birds behind you, or you can have the little rays of sunshine. I uploaded my own background, my own tiled background, and saved it that way. But one thing that I like to make sure that we do over the next week, and some of you will do it now, is a couple different things. When you start a Twitter account, your avatar is an egg. Okay, that's a really telltale sign that you're brand new on Twitter. Okay, so one of the things you'll want to do is you'll want to swap out the egg. You decide what you want your avatar to be. Okay, for some people, they want their glamour shots up there. For some people, they want a muted image. You decide what makes the most sense for you. Please keep in mind you can change that at any point. Okay, I've changed my avatar multiple times. It is up to you what you want your avatar to be. It does not bother me. And so the only other things that I really do here at the twitter.com website is I go in, I change my settings. Any password changes, I do that here. So if you want to change your avatar, if you want to change your settings, if you want to block people, any of that sort of stuff, you do it at twitter.com, you sign in, and you change all the stuff there. Any questions at all about creating an account, setting it up, changing your identity, any of that stuff? Bless you. There's no wrong way to do this. The important things you need to be aware of is you want to represent yourself in the light that you want to be represented. Okay, you can always kill off your account if you don't like it. You can change your avatar, you can change your background. You want to represent yourself in the light you would like to be represented. You want to share content that you think is appropriate for that account. So if you're one of those people that have the dual accounts, I'm fine with that. Just make sure you're sending the right content to the right accounts. And then make sure you stay on top of your passwords. We live in an age now where hacks happen every 5 seconds. So take care of your account, protect your account. There is I was trying to find the settings. Somebody can probably find it while I'm looking. You can set up 2-factor authentication for Twitter. I think it's very important. You can set up 2-factor authentication for most things you use. Basically what that means is when you go to log into Twitter or Evernote or Gmail or whatever, when you go to log in, you have an app on your phone or some other piece, or some of them have like a little USB drive that you either get a 6-digit code from your phone and plug it into Twitter, or you plug in your USB drive. Very important. It seems like it's not that important, but especially if you're going to teach in high school or middle school, okay, it's one extra step that stops students from logging in as you to your accounts. But also, we live in an age where people are going to hack different things. You know, increasingly, privacy and security online will be a challenge. So 2-factor authentication is a good first step. So I only go to twitter.com when I need to change my settings, when I want to modify something. So once your account is up and running, you have your avatar, you have your background, you are ready to roll. Your password is something other than password. The only reason I go to twitter.com is to change the settings. Once that's all set, I never go there again. There's no reason to. So why is Twitter such a powerful tool? I use other apps. Okay, so I use other ways to negotiate Twitter. The app that I primarily use is called TweetDeck. Okay, if you're on Chrome, if you use Chrome as a browser, they have TweetDeck and HootStream, HOOT, HootSuite, HOOTSUITE, or TweetDeck, TWEETDECK. And I'll send out some of the other apps that I use on Android. If you're on an Android tablet, there are different apps that I use. I use Phoenix right now, Phenix. If you are on an iPad or an iPhone, there's an app called TweetBot. I think it's TweetBot that I use that works really well for me. But we'll talk a little bit more about this. But here's why I use these other tools instead of Twitter. So the nice thing about TweetDeck is I can set up columns. So what I can do is I can set up a column and follow things that I'm interested in. Okay, so last week I said, you know, Twitter for many people is the best professional development opportunity that's out there, and it's free. Twitter is the best personal learning or professional learning network that's out there. And for the most part, it's free. So I have multiple columns set up here. So the first column I have is just notifications. So this is just things that just happened. So I saw that Jake followed me, Lauren retweeted it. And so I can see things that people are posting and saying and what's happening. Okay, so this is just straight up notifications about what's happening. Let's say I say, you know, I don't follow Lauren right now. So I can click on her name. Very nice. Good job. Liberty Bell, major props. So now I clicked on her and I can see she follows me. I can see how many followers she has. who she's following. Sometimes it's fun for you to go in and see who other people are following and follow them. But I'm deciding now I want to follow Lauren. And so I click on that, and now I'm following her. So I can see all this content here. I have a column for the IT DML program, a couple other columns here. We'll talk about Walk My World. But the nice thing about Twitter is you can follow and talk with other people in your content area. So let's say you're interested in social studies. The SS chat, pound SS chat, we talked about hashtags before. Pound SS chat is social studies educators. They are always sharing online. So if you have a question you want to ask other social studies educators globally, you could put pound SS chat. Let's say that I don't think I have it yet. I'm going to add another one. Let's say I'm interested in STEM. So I'm going to click on, go to search and hit pound STEM for science, tech, engineering, and math. And I'm going to add a column. Now, anything that anyone is posting that has to do with STEM that they add the STEM hashtag to, that's coming through in the stream. So if you work on a workshop, if you present content, so you can see now 28 seconds now. So a lot of this stuff, they will share it out. So if you have content you want to share, you have a new worksheet, you have a new a video, you have some exemplar, you have a question. Let's say you're starting up a STEM program at your school and you have questions about what sort of readings to include. Why not ask global educators? Why not ask everyone on the planet that's interested in STEM what they should study? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm all about that. Their text changed STEM to STEAM because I will put art in there too.
So I mean, let's say, and that's, so let's do STEAM and see who else is out there that you should follow. See, Amazon, Far Cry. It's a so, oh, you know what? You talk about the STEAM gaming. Oh, so
someone already banned it. Yeah.
So let's say we have SciChat. So here's our science chat. So now we have educators tweeting about science. We have math chat. There's all sorts of these chats that happen. And so the really cool thing is, like, we can sit here and we can look at the STEM chat is moving pretty quickly. If we also look at, where's another one that's moving pretty quickly? The Connected Learning MOOC hasn't happened in a while. So far, it looks like the STEM one is moving the fastest. The cool thing is, every once in a while, some of these communities get together and they have a Twitter chat. And so what they'll do is that everybody globally will meet up for an hour and have a discussion. So everybody will get up, sign into Twitter, follow the same hashtag, and have a chat about some of this content. So the way that you find out about this is there is this person known as CyberAMan. Okay, I'm going to say CyberAMan Twitter chat schedule. So if you go to CyberAMan's website, he does a couple different things for you. Number one, and you can go follow CyberAMan on Twitter. Number one, he tells you what all of the hashtags are. So you don't have to sit there and just guess, and is it STEAM or STEM? So what I can do is I can say, all right, CyberAMan, I want you to tell me what are some of the hashtags that are out there. So I have admin, adult ed, ed talk, ed tech. Let's see what we have for STEM and STEAM. So I have K-12, K-12 media, Iowa chat. A colleague of mine, Greg McVeary, is probably listening right now. He's over at Southern. We tried to start a pound CT Teach. So we wanted all of the teachers in Connecticut to get together and share ideas. Trying to find STEM chat, STEM. So the challenge would be, it seems like you'd be competing. So you got Space Ed. You'd be competing with other people that are talking about the Steam gaming piece, which is not bad. So lately I've been lurking. I told you last week I'm going to teach a class in the spring on Minecraft. I have been lurking on the Minecraft Edu tag because I'm basically watching what they're saying and learning. I'm lurking. I'm learning from them without interacting. I'm just basically grabbing all their ideas. So CyberAMan has that. The other thing that he has set up is this got moved over to Google Docs because it's just blown up. So what'll happen is, let's say you say that I want to get involved. What's one of these that people here would get interested in? So now Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, so in 20 minutes on EdChat, actually right now, pound MakerEd. So right now, apparently there should be the end of the MakerEd chat. So it's basically K through 12 classrooms that are interested in like MakerEd, 3D printers, and stuff like that. So that's probably something that would be interesting to people in this class. So if I do MakerEd, slow night on MakerEd. So this is people that are interested in making in their classroom, sharing ideas. So CyberAMan basically has the whole chat calendar set up. So they have certain ones that, you know, every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, they'll have pound EdChat. Show up. Okay, you don't have to sign in. You go. Sometimes they'll have people that will run the chat. They'll have a moderator. I've run a couple of those chats before, not the pound EdChat. I do the literacies chat. You have a moderator, they'll post a question or a prompt, and basically people get there and share ideas for an hour. But the nice thing about Twitter is if you use a tool like TweetDeck, HootSuite does the same thing. A lot of the apps will allow you to have columns or follow specific searches. It'll look different because your screen's not as big. But the reason why I use this is because I set up my columns for things that I'm interested in. So I've had the pound ITDML to follow the hashtag for our program. These are columns that I'm on somebody else's list. And then if I am teaching a class, like I said, the Minecraft Edu, what I'll do is I'll go here. Add a column. And now anytime people are saying things about Minecraft, every once in a while I can go take a peek. Now, we saw earlier some of these are moving pretty quickly. So this STEM chat, it's happening like every 20, 30 seconds there's something new coming. And this is pretty slow for some of these chats. So the thing is to keep in mind, Twitter is a stream, okay? It is a never-ending stream. It's impossible. The challenge is sometimes people see Twitter and they're like, oh, I have to read everything and I have to learn everything there. It is impossible. The main idea is that you go in every now and then, you take a look, you see people that you're interested in, you see a discussion that you're interested in, you get some ideas, you interact, and then you back out. I don't think you should. I think you should have a life, but I don't think you should have to like follow this all the time. Okay. So one thing that I would like you to do for the purposes of our time here is if you're using either TweetDeck or you're using HootSuite, how many people have already installed like one of those apps right now and you're playing with it? Okay. Go online and look for pound walk my world. So if I'm on TweetDeck, I can say hashtag walk my world. I can also go in and I can search on Twitter. So if I'm twitter.com, I told you not to do this before, but I can look here. I can search on it. So if I go to TweetDeck, I go to HootSuite, I'm going to look for pound walk my world. This is the hashtag that we're going to use for our project. This is the way that we're going to connect all together. That is very true. So right now, if you send out a tweet and you include #WalkMyWorld, it's going to go out in that stream to everybody. So earlier today, a couple teachers were introducing themselves. If you scroll down, so people earlier today were introducing themselves from Atlanta, saying hi. So right now, what I'd like you to do is, if you have a Twitter account and you're signed in, I'd like you to send a tweet out, introducing yourselves, say hi, talk about wanting to see it on the big screen, say hi to people, make sure that you include the #WalkMyWorld hashtag, okay? So I'll give you a minute or two, send out a tweet, let's pop it up, let's say hi to people that are out there. Bless you. So it's #WalkMyWorld all together, the # at the front, the hashtag. So take a minute or two, send a tweet out there. And then what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about how to send other content. And then what is this whole project going to look like?
Oh, I spelled something wrong. I'm a bad Twitter person.
Why?
Your love feed.
His love feed. Look at this tweet.
Where is it? My love feed. That's it. So now that you have that, I'm going to say this. This is how I definitely get fired. I'm going to say love feed. I love farmers. Love me, feed me. I'm not going to scroll too far down because that's
really
feed love.
tempting fates right now.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So now what I can do is I can grab an image. I'm just going to grab the URL. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to say, why is it only giving me part of it? So I'm going
You
to,
just want to crop that more for just the love feed.
that's a good idea. I like that.
You got it.
I got rid of it. You
Why?
want me to keep it?
Well, at this point,
Now it's not.
yeah, you can't tweet and then delete it and then send it back. Come on now.
I changed it to live feed.
There you go.
I don't know if professionally I would like you to have love feed up on my
That's
Twitter.
I played rugby for a while. I'm sure there's far worse than me out there online. Where'd it go? So what I'm going to do is send a love feed. So now what we're doing is we're watching this hashtag evolve. We can see different people sharing. So now what I did is I looked at, I looked at Kate's tweet and I favorited the tweet, and that basically just lets her know that I read it, I favorite her tweet. What I can also do is I can favorite Chris's. Oh, something failed. Is yours private? Because you put thought or?
I can't spell right, so
Yeah, I was about to say something. So what I can do is Stacy's tweet, I can favorite it, and I could say, right, all from TweetDeck and say, hey, welcome to Walk My World. Have fun. Emoticon. Okay, so I'm favoriting, I'm replying. What I can also do is I'm going to take this and favorite, and I'm going to retweet. So I can edit and retweet. So if I wanted to like modify her message a little bit, I'm just going to hit retweet. Okay, so I've replied to other people. I have favorited, I have retweeted, a couple other things that we could do here. So let's say you want to share other types of content. So you can share images, you can share video, you can share audio tracks. The challenge is that you have to have some place that it exists online. Images and video, Twitter will host for you. So what I can do is I can go, once again, let's go see love feed. So let's take my heart again, my image. I'm going to go back to Twitter. And I'm going to say the Twitter love feed is strong in walk my world. And I'll say pass on the love. Smiley emoticon again. I'm going to add an image. And I'm going to go grab that little heart. So now it embeds the image right in there. I'm going to go ahead and hit tweet, send it out. It goes back out to the hashtag. What you can also do is you can drop a link in your tweet. So let's say I want to grab. So here is the website for the project. I'm going to say getting started with Walk My World. The main website you'll need is, and drop it in there. I could drop a YouTube, if I want to share a YouTube video with other people, I can drop the URL. Also, does anybody here use SoundCloud? Yeah, SoundCloud's awesome, especially for all the science people. I found out this morning NASA uploaded pretty much all of their audio from all the space missions to SoundCloud. So you could, like, all sorts of random stuff. So SoundCloud is a social network for musicians. It's all audio tracks. And the fun thing is SoundCloud, you can share any type of audio. You can record and share your audio. The challenging part is it's a social network for musicians. So you'll see some questionable stuff. You can also annotate, but we'll talk about that later. So I put a link in there. So at this point, and you'll see that big link that I shared, that whole website, it got dropped down to this little bit.ly link. So the URL redirect, if I click on that, it's going to bring me, it's going to give me a left turn to go to the major website. So we have Twitter. We have Twitter accounts. We know how to post to Twitter. You know how to follow other people. So you might choose to follow me. You might choose to follow other people that are involved in the project. I suggest you follow each other. I've already been yelled at once at the beginning of class that somebody followed me here and I didn't follow immediately. I will try and follow everybody here. It's not me being a jerk. Sometimes I am a jerk, but it's not that. So what we'll do is we want to interact. You want to connect. So what we're going to do with this whole project is basically this week, I want you to play around with Twitter. I want you to figure out, what does Twitter mean for you? You probably earlier were trying to add an image or an avatar, and then your creative side started kicking in, but you're like, I can't be too creative. I'm sitting here in class. Over the next couple days, play with Twitter. Nobody has a reason not to, because I moved all of your major assignments back a week. So your assignment this week is basically play with Twitter, figure out what apps work for you. A lot of the really good apps to use with Twitter are free. Some of them are $1 or $2. I use Phoenix on Android, and I'll share other ones that it's a couple bucks. Don't buy anything if you're not really sure that you want to do this a lot, okay, at this point. TweetDeck and HootSuite are free on Chrome, on the browser. You can do all this stuff now. This week, I want you to play with Twitter. Go follow other people, share content out there, change your identity, change your avatar, basically modify it. If there's any questions at all, reach out to me or other people in the community. As we move forward, on my blog today, which I will share the URL again. Oh, I didn't want to do that. So my blog is at wioburn.com. What I'll do is, if you ever get lost here, I will, every week, I will update the main site for the project, and I'll also send it out on my blog. So my blog is wioburn.com. This morning, I posted, basically, we're getting started with the project. So this gives you an overview of everything that's happening. It also gives you some of the major links that you'll need. You can go see some of our videos and planning sessions from before. That's not the link I want to show, but whatever. So the main website that you'll need is this Google site. So if I go to pull up an Evernote piece. So this is a project. This is the second year of the project. Last year we did it in this very same class. So if you go into Walk My World one night and you're just very lonely, you can scroll back to last year and see what people were sharing and what people were doing. And so what we have is, I just want a place to paste in this URL. So we have one website set up for all of the content, and I'll give you a quick tour of the website so that we can try and answer some questions before we have them. So the main website that we will use, come on Evernote, if you give me an ad because I have to pay up for another year. Oh, now I'm not going to pay. Come on. So the main website we'll use to share everything is right there. And I will share this out. You don't have to write it down. You're going to see it multiple times. We built it in Google Sites. Google Sites is a free tool to build your own websites. So if you like what you see there, you'll be able to use it in your classroom with your students. But this is what you'll see when you get there. So the front page, we have an introduction. We talk about what this whole project is all about. There are 10 learning events. It's basically 10 weeks. Next week is the first real week. We don't launch the learning events. We do like a slow reveal. We don't launch the learning events until Sunday morning. Sunday mornings, myself and a couple of the other organizers will post the new learning events to this website, and then we'll tweet it out, and everything will go out live Sunday morning, okay? Basically what you'll do every week is we'll give you a prompt, and we'll ask you to read something or think about something and create some content and share it out to Twitter using the hashtag. So it's pretty simple, okay? The challenge here is how far do you want to push it, okay? So for example, if you look up top, the learning events, this is where the learning events will appear. They're obviously not there yet. Some of the organizers, and this page is antiquated. There are more organizers. You can see some of us that helped run it last year. There's many more people now that run it this year. This we are working on. It's not complete yet, but we think that it's important because it's technically a MOOC, massive open online class. It's an accidental one. What's happening is most of us are running this at different universities this upcoming 10-week period, but then there's other people globally that get involved. So you'll see some other randoms out there that get involved, and that's terribly cool. And so we try to answer the so what question. We also talk about previous research. So I will have a permission form for you to sign because I want to take your data and research it and figure out how could this improve instruction in classrooms. So you can see some of our research from last year's stuff. We wrote a chapter last year for the MIT Civic Media Reader about the work that we conducted. You can also see, if you wanted to, I didn't move it to the front, but I will. We have the learning events from last year. So if you wanted to, you can take a look at some of the stuff they were sharing last year. This is not entirely what we'll do this year, but it's an idea of where this project might head. So Here's what I want you to do over the next week. This is the slow launch. This week, number one, play with Twitter. Get your account started. Email me when you're angry and frustrated that you can't get it to work. Send me a hangout. Email me when you're mad because I'm forcing you to have this digital identity. We'll talk about it. I want to have these discussions, okay? And like I said, you're the one that has to make the decision about what you want to be and who you want to be. So number one is play with Twitter. Get started. We have the video from tonight, and I have other videos here on the main website. We have a page on how to use Twitter. It's decent. I re-edited and worked on this today. So I have last year I put together a video on how to use Twitter. So once again, if you miss me in my melodious voice, and go back and watch the video. We also have how do I discuss on Twitter? How do I negotiate the fire hose of info? So all of the stuff I talked about with TweetDeck, here's some of the links. I use Plume or Phoenix on Android. I use HootSuite or TweetBot on iPad. Also, if you want, there are other services you can use. I list those down there at the bottom. I have a couple videos and links on ways to use Twitter in your classroom if you're interested later on about using this again. Also, if I go to 2015 learning events, it says getting started in 2015. That's this week. And it basically gives you the prompt that I just explained to you. So what I want you to do this week is get started, get a Twitter account, get rolling. Make sure you have a real avatar, not the bird egg. You might want to add some multimodal content. So it's up to you, but we have with the group down at Kennesaw State, I think Ryan said that they posted a tweet of their class. Last year what happened is they sent pictures of themselves into Walk My World, and then they did like a class photo. So they basically issued us a challenge to send like a class photo of us to Walk My World and say like hi to everybody. So you can all decide after I'm done here, I'll give you a 5-minute break. If we want to send a photo to them and Walk My World, we can. Another thing that we're going to do this year in Walk My World, for all the social studies people here, we're going to mess around with GPS and geolocation. So we set up a map in Google Maps so that people can pin themselves on the map. So if you want to start geolocating your tweets and pinning where you are on the map, there are tutorials on there about how to do that. I think it's really cool. I'm interested to see people locate where they're sending stuff from. So it's a way to play. One other thing, 2 final things I want you to talk about or do. Number one, very important for me, I want you to know what we're doing with this stuff. I want you to be an informed user of the internet. So we put together today, primarily Greg McVeary put together privacy and research guidelines. This basically is an indication of what we're going to do with your data, what we do with your information, and how you can make sure that you're safe and secure. It's terribly important that you understand your rights and privileges in online spaces and also fight for them and make sure that your students are protected as well. So we want to list openly, what are we going to do with it? And the last thing I want to show you is if you get later on in the week and you're all jazzed up and you're excited, if you go and search this site, there is a whole underbelly to the site known as the maker menu. So at its basic level, this is a 10-week social media project. We're going to talk about identity. We're going to connect. We're going to learn together. Basically, instead of the online discussions, once a week you're going to see a prompt, and I want you to share out on Twitter a hashtag, Walk My World, read whatever it is we're reading, look at whatever it is that we give you as a prompt, think about the content, and share and express yourself, play with different forms of text, and play with your identity. That is at its most basic level. So honestly, you could get the tweets done and sent out pretty quickly. And some people do that. But then there's other people here that really want to play. Okay, there's people that really want to mess around And those of us that are helping run the project, we know fun ways to mess around. So Greg has been building this maker menu, and it's a way to extend what we're doing with the content. So if you, throughout the project, after a couple weeks, if you feel like you really want to push yourself, feel free to look at some of the makes and figure out ways to extend what you're doing, okay? We will all share. I will share, okay? I'm going to really, every year, I try to push my boundaries. You can see what I shared last year. I'm pushing my own boundaries. I'm trying to decide, I'm going one of two different directions, but basically, for the most part, it's a way for, I use this time in Walk My World every year. Granted, it's only the second year, but sort of like document where I am right now. The idea is that we're using, the reason why it's called Walk My World is we're using Twitter as a tool to allow other people to take a walk in your world, okay? So what you will see is you will have pre-service teachers, you'll have educators, you have veteran teachers. Last year we had a group of elementary students from New Zealand. We will probably see some other students from K-12, some people from higher ed. We will have a lot of different people online trying to learn together and connect and share, okay? So that's the Walk My World project. The website, I'll share it out so that you have access to it. But basically at its heart, it's a social media project. It's a way for us to play with Twitter, to think about identity and connecting and learning. And we're really trying to play with our notions of text. So with that being said, do we have any questions over here that are popping up? Not yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill off the broadcast.